It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Hi folks, thanks for joining us. I'm Sam Lesante, and we're doing our Sam Lesante shows here on Comcast 7, and another interesting show for you today. You know, we talked about the Chamber, we had United Way on, and we're going around talking about these great organizations that are available here in Schuylkill County. An interesting story to tell you today about S.C.O.R.E. We're going to be talking about S.C.O.R.E. S.C.O.R.E. stands for Service Organization of Retired Executives. And for those of you who are interested in business or starting up a business starting off with, you're going to be very interested in knowing what we have available to you. But let me welcome the co-chair of the board, Mary S.C.O.R.E. and Sonny Fenstermacher, two of people I've known for many years here in Pottsville. How are you guys doing?
Good,
okay?
great. Good to be with you, Sam.
It's always nice to see the both of you.
And likewise.
Thanks for having us.
Now that the both of you retired, enjoying life, you know, it must be very nice, huh? Mary?
Oh, it's just terrific. I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah. This thing S.C.O.R.E., okay, tell me what it is.
Okay, S.C.O.R.E. is a nonprofit service organization. It's dedicated to assisting entrepreneurs to develop small businesses successfully. It's comprised of 370 chapters throughout the United States and all U.S. territories with over 11,000 volunteers. The organization is totally free for service to people who would like to start a business or who are in business presently and need a little assistance with whatever their problems might be. Our network consists of active and retired volunteers as well as people who are actively engaged in their business, Sam. It's a wonderful group.
Now, Sonny, okay, first of all, your involvement, okay, and how did you become interested in working with this?
Well, I became interested, I became involved because Mary asked me to become involved a year and a half ago when the Reading chapter had contacted her and asked her about starting a chapter in Schuylkill County. So from that point on, Mary and I have kind of worked together to recruit all the other volunteers that we have on our board. As Mary said, there's 18 of us. And we try and have a diverse type of board when it goes back to the reason for S.C.O.R.E. And that's twofold. One, if you're going to start a business, S.C.O.R.E. is the first place you should come to, because all the counseling that we give someone is absolutely free. There's no charge, and that's one of the biggest things. Is it is free. A lot of people think that we would charge for the expertise that we have, but that's certainly not the case. It's free. So if you're thinking about starting a small business, or you have a small business and you've hit a bump in the road and you don't know what the next step might be, first thing you want to do is get a hold of S.C.O.R.E. because we can help.
Well, now, I find this very interesting because we were all, you know, in business, okay, and we all started from scratch, okay, unless you had a rich, you know, donor in your life. But we all started, and the experience, you know, that we bring to the table, okay, is invaluable because we've been there, all right. Now, if I have a business right now, for example, and I'm struggling with the business, can S.C.O.R.E. help me?
Well, the way we operate this is this way, Sam. People will call for an appointment, and we have a toll-free number that people can call into. The liaison person who answers the phone, the counselor who is the liaison person, will ask the mentee or counselee what their problem is, where they are, what they want to do. Do they want to start a business? Are they thinking of buying a franchise business? Do they want to buy a business that's already operating? And in those cases, she will then schedule a time when it's appropriate for them to come in. You can't just walk in without an appointment. We have to know you're coming. And then if the situation is that they need financing, or they don't know how to even get started, or they're looking for an idea of some sort, then we, in addition to the two counselors who will meet with them, we bring in one of our other volunteers who is an expert in financing or accounting or insurance or whatever the problem might be. And so that way the person who is seeking assistance, whatever the problem is, even we've had quite a few people who already are in business and they've hit the bump in the road that Sonny referred to. They may want to enlarge, may want to be thinking of selling their business, they may want to find out how to start a web page. Then we bring one of our volunteers in who's an expert in that field to sit in on the counseling session. And they can come back as many times as they need counseling. There's no limit to it.
The business climate right now is primarily you're talking market of small businesses, okay? And it's Sonny. So people understand. Describe what what a small business is.
Well, small business is if it's defined under the government standards, it would be any business with under 100 employees. That's classified as small business when you go to the SBA or any other government agencies, or to the state economic development agencies, things like that. So anybody has a business under 100 employees, but most of the people that Mary and I have encountered and our board so far in our year of operation are single proprietors, people who have an idea about a product that they have and they want to take it to the next step. I don't think we have anybody that we've talked to that has a company of 5 or 10 or 20 people, maybe one that would have some type of a business like that. But most of the people, the first thing you have to have if you want to succeed is an idea. If you have a good idea, then S.C.O.R.E will help you take that idea to the next step and help you get started. And that's pretty much what we do.
Okay, now let's go back in retrospect so the viewers get a better handle on this. You and your brother, okay, had Hadestes, correct? Mm-hmm. All right. And then I'll talk about American Surgical in a second. But let's go back. If Sonny Fenstermacher and your brother had a S.C.O.R.E back when you were starting, okay, how much of a difference would that have been in your startup, in your business, other than learning it the hard way,
That's an interesting question, because here's part of the problem with that. People who are running their own business are reluctant sometimes to look for help, because what it says to the community is, you know what, we're not doing very well, and we don't know, whether we're going to succeed or not. So we're going to stumble through this thing on our own. Had we known about S.C.O.R.E, absolutely. I mean, I would have called S.C.O.R.E. I would have, and the big reason is it's free, because I would say, here's my problem, and I'd come to S.C.O.R.E and have all these people that are professionals and experts be able to give me one good idea that would take me to the next step. It would all be worth it.
Yeah, and sometimes, I know exactly what you're saying. We get sometimes we get an ego a trip sometimes, and we feel if we do something, okay, well, does that mean you cannot run your business? Which is just the opposite. I would admire anybody who is looking to grow and learning more about that. Okay, folks, if you just tuned in, I'm gonna get to Mary and talk about American Surgical, how she made that such a success, as well as Hadestes. Mary Sikowski and Sonny Fenstermacher, folks, are co-chair of the Board of Directors for S.C.O.R.E. Phone numbers on the screen, 624-4174, and the website. We come back, we're going to learn a lot more about S.C.O.R.E. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. On a personal note, I want to thank all of you for watching us on Comcast 7. It's just amazing the amount of response we're getting on our website. And go to our website, ssptv.com. Click on Pottsville, and you'll see all the shows we're doing in Pottsville, all around the towns. I want to thank all the sponsors who are making local television grow. And I said on the other two shows, the Chamber Show and United Way Show, folks, last year, Nielsen ratings showed where broadcast viewing and cable network viewing decreased. not by a lot, maybe 3-4%. But what grew in viewership was local programming, such as the local programs we're doing here on Comcast 7, right through the roof, because people want to know what's going on in their backyard. So we're bringing a lot of local television to you. Most especially, I want to thank the sponsors for supporting us here, and it's only going to get better. We're looking to do a news, which I'm hoping we'll be able to do starting the end of this year. Now, my guest today on the Sam Lesante Show, it's an organization called S.C.O.R.E. And it's for you who are interested in starting a business, or if you have a business. My guest, Mary Sikorsky, who was co-chair of the board of directors along with Sonny Fenstermacher. We talked about Sonny Haddisties. Now, Mary, let's talk about your business, okay, when you started. If there would have been a S.C.O.R.E. around or available, how would that have been able to help you?
I agree with Sonny. It's a very interesting question. When we were considering starting S.C.O.R.E. here in Schuylkill County, several of us made many trips down to the Reading chapter to see how it operated and to find out whether it was going to be workable in Schuylkill County, whether there was anybody who wanted to start a business here, whether there was anybody who'd come to us for help. And one of the people who's very active in S.C.O.R.E. in Reading, who owns a franchise business there, Sam, said, and I thought this was startling, he's very, very prominent in the area, and he's also very successful. And he said, had I ever known about S.C.O.R.E. a few years ago, I would have been in a much better shape. And I can say the same thing for me with American Surgical Supply. And even as you referred to the fact that you had opportunities where you would like your children to learn from your mistakes, well, there are always other mistakes that are being made, and there are always other ideas. And sometimes what we're finding with our counseling, Sonny and I, is that one of the best things that happens in the counseling session is not necessarily a problem solved, but people can solve their own problems when they talk it over with somebody else, if they just have someone else to share it with. Sonny has an interesting story about how he handled that in his business. But American Surgical Supply, myself in particular, would have benefited very definitely from S.C.O.R.E. So Bill Higbee from Reading, who made that statement, I second that very quickly, because I would have very much profited from S.C.O.R.E.
My interview I had with Al Boscom last year down in his office. Here's a man in his 80s who is still going strong, and he tells his success what it is, the work that's involved, the hard work in making Boscov's as successful as it is. Sonny, going back to looking at bringing the experience to people who have a business, okay? I say to anybody, if you have a business and you need to grow, don't ever be ashamed to ask anybody, because I'm always willing to learn, okay? Nobody has a monopoly on ideas, and you'll learn from anybody. Some of the situations that you came across, Sonny.
You mean while I was operating?
Yeah.
One of the things that we did, my brother and I would invite 20 or 30 of our good friends that were in business to lunch every year. And back where the old Dusselfink was, which is isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
Geez, I didn't know you were that old, Sonny.
Yeah. And we'd buy them lunch, and we'd tell them, you know, here's 5 or 6 things that we're thinking about, or that we're having a problem with, and we would get all kinds of reactions. So it cost us lunch to get a lot of other people's ideas, and there were many of those ideas that we used to move our business forward. But the other thing that everybody has to understand, and I'm sure they do, when you start your own business, it's a risk. It's a huge risk, not only for yourself, but for your family and financially. So you really have to have all your ducks in line in today's economic climate, especially where things are not, certainly the very best. But unless you have those 3 things in line, and the chances of success are almost nil. So you got to remember that. You got to be sure that your family's on your side, that you have the commitment yourself, and you have the financial wherewithal to get started.
Staying on that subject, what types of services does S.C.O.R.E. provide to the small business community?
Yes, that's a great question also, Sam. There are 3 major things that S.C.O.R.E. volunteers do. We provide counseling And on that line, we have 3 ways that we counsel. Face-to-face, which is one of the areas that I've described where 2 of our volunteers plus an expert volunteer comes along. So we have the face-to-face counseling. We have cyber counseling, which is growing in popularity because of the atmosphere we're in these days. Everybody's on their computer and on the internet, so they can do it by cyber counseling, or they can have phone counseling. The phone counseling usually takes place following our initial contact with the mentee who's looking for some help, and then we call back to find out how they're doing, if they need any help from us, etc. The second way is coaching. After they have assisted us, or we have assisted them rather, we will coach them along they go home after their counseling with some homework from us. So we will coach them as to how they're doing it. If they're working on a business plan, what they need to do next to perfect it, how they need to present it, and what they might have missed in it. And the third way is education. We are, in Schuylkill, are going to be starting classes here for small business entrepreneurs, and the first one will be how to start your own small business. Presently, the Reading chapter, under whose umbrella we are now operating, as we are the newest one in the district, newest chapter in the district, will be, they already offer classes on how to start your small business, how to do a web page, how to read financial pages if you're a non-financial person, accounting, and all of the other issues, and they teach these classes at RAC in Reading. Right now, people in Schuylkill County can take advantage of that just by calling our number and finding out information on it. In April, we expect to have our beginning classes here right in Schuylkill County, so they won't have to travel.
The process then, if I'm thinking of starting a business, I have an idea, okay, sometimes there is privileged information, okay, that I need to be very careful about. Okay, I have a great idea, but I don't know if I want 18 people who are in businesses. I don't know if I want Sonny Fenstermark, or I don't know if I want Mary S.C.O.R.E to know what I want. So I may be a little concerned about that. I want to get information, but I don't know how to handle that. Now we're going to save that question. We come back after break, folks. We're talking about this organization, S.C.O.R.E. I can only say this as a small businessman. It's something that I wish we had when I started back when I was 18 years old. With my businesses, and there's all these hurdles you have in business. However, as Sonny said, if you do it right and have the right guidance, it'll work for you. But the question I want to ask you them is, how privileged is this information? Because I may have a great idea, but I want them to know about it. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, SSPTV.com. You can watch all of our programming. We have breaking news up there, and most especially hit the shows Pottsville, all around the towns, plus our Sam Lesante shows and all the other shows we have here, local television. As I said before in the break, local television viewing has increased immensely, and we thank you for that. My guests today, Mary S.C.O.R.E and Sonny Fenstermark, who are co-chair of the board of directors of S.C.O.R.E. And my question was about, again, I have an idea. It's great, but I don't know if I want to share with anybody because I don't want anyone stealing my ideas. So who wants to start on that? Sonny?
I'll start off and then turn it over to Mary, you know, and because I think we both pretty much are thinking about the same thing. It's a great question. If you do have an idea and you might not want to share it because someone might steal it or move off or improve upon it and say it's their idea. One of the things that the members of S.C.O.R.E have, we have a code of conduct. And one of the amendments in that is that everything is confidential. Number one, and number two, you can't use anything that you might learn for your self-interest. So you have to be very, very careful about how you counsel people. You can't use whatever information anybody brings to you to enhance yourself or your business. And every single thing that someone brings to us is absolutely strictly confidential, and it will never get out beyond the S.C.O.R.E volunteers. And I'm sure Mary can elaborate on
I will add a little bit to it. That is exactly true of the code of ethics that everybody has to sign once they've finished their application form. They sign an application form if they want to be a volunteer with us, and that gets sent to National for approval. And following that approval, they sign a code of ethics. And it includes all the things Sonny says. If that's still a problem for anybody who's local and would like to have some consulting, there are other options. You can go to the S.C.O.R.E national website, S.C.O.R.E national website, and on there they have a list of where all of the counselors are. You can go to any chapter in the United States or anywhere in Pennsylvania. In our district alone, we have 16 chapters. And if that's not sufficient, when I was at one of my first Reading chapter meetings that I've mentioned, somebody there said they've even had people come up from Philadelphia to Reading to be counseled because they didn't want to do it in Philadelphia. So if you're unhappy with being counseled in Schuylkill County, you can find another chapter that you can talk to.
The organization, okay, S.C.O.R.E, I think is absolutely fantastic because, again, I wish I would have had S.C.O.R.E available to me, and it may still be available to me as I begin to grow. When we came here with local television, it was a major investment, and looking at, but I was smart enough to come to the area and get guys like you, Sonny, involved, and Finelli and Slitzer and those guys, who people in this community that know what the community wants, okay? So I would feel comfortable if I have an idea for a business, or if I want to have some business, I would feel comfortable coming to S.C.O.R.E, correct? Now, what about your counselors, and how do I get in contact with you, and those questions?
Well, on the internet right there, or on your screen, you see that our phone number is 624-4174, and then you will be talking to our liaison counselor. Or our website in our area here is SchuylkillCountySCORE.org or .com. And you can get in touch with us that way, and within another day, 24 hours, you'll have a call back to make an appointment. And our appointments are on Mondays and Thursdays from 10 to 12 in the morning and 1 to 3 in the afternoon. And you can make an appointment in that fashion.
So you have access to many different areas. So what if I'm looking at doing something, either starting a business, or if I have a current business, you have the availability of going to the specific areas, like a dictionary. I mean, you do have these people that are available to the person.
Absolutely. I mean, the people that we have. Let's say you have a business and you've been in business for a year, and all of a sudden you start to have some tax problems. You know, because you're too small to hire an accountant, and you're, too big to be doing it yourself. So this is the perfect time to come to S.C.O.R.E, because you can tell us specifically what your problem is, and then S.C.O.R.E can zero in, because we have bankers and we have lawyers and we have tax attorneys and all those type of people on our board, and we can specifically help you with the problem, and that's what we're all about.
It's like, to me, it's one-stop shopping here, okay? Because we have financial, legal, if I'm entrepreneurial, excuse me, and what I want to, what business I want to develop or go into, you have access to all of those things. I mean, I think it's just fantastic. I mean, anybody who's in business, this is great.
We have an acronym that we use in S.C.O.R.E, BLAME, B-L-A-I-M-E, and that covers what Sonny is discussing and what you just elaborated on. B is for banker, L is for lawyer, A is for accountant, I is for insurance, M is for the mentors, which is what we are, and E is for the technology that we can utilize. So that's what we have on our board.
Now, I want to ask a personal question here, okay? Because I always ask these questions of people who are volunteering, okay? Sonny, you worked hard, with your business, and you really, had to go through a lot in life. So now you have a chance to retire and enjoy yourself, okay? What are you doing? I mean, in being involved here, why don't you just enjoy yourself?
Oh, it just goes back to that age-old adage to say, well, I want to give something back to the community. Yeah. And I guess that's part of it. But I know how difficult it is to start a business. And I know the problems that small businesses have. And I've encountered many of them. And thank God I had a lot of help from other people. And hopefully I'll be able to take that and help them so that they can survive. I mean, small business, remember, is 90-some% of the American economy. And it's important, that we make entrepreneurs successful.
And Mary, why are you involved? I mean,
well, my story is a little bit like Sonny's, but there is a little bit more. The Chamber of Commerce, who is very gracious in giving us space here in the Chamber building, had a little meeting finding out whether SCORE chapter would be a good idea here. So they invited all the past presidents of Chamber before who had ever been president. I was one of them, and I came to the meeting, and as being at the meeting and missing the next meeting, I got the job to be chairing this, and then I solicited Sonny's help. But it is wanting to give back to the community. We both have a history of volunteering to help people throughout, and that's the way Schuylkill County is. We all help each other.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, with my business here, coming into the greater Pottsville area and now expanding hopefully in March into Monterey City, Tamaqua, etc. with SSP TV, I found the community very receptive, very nice, and met a lot of friends and had a lot of guys like you, Sonny, and have been able to sit down and joke a little bit about.
Just remember, Sam, if your business gets into trouble,
yeah,
make sure you get a hold of SCORE.
I'll be calling you. I'll be calling. I may just have a session after this show, folks. It's called SCORE. And the phone number is on the screen, 624-4174. Have a business, looking to develop business, having some problems, a small business, it's worth a phone call anyway. Give them a call, and I'm sure you'll be pleasantly surprised. Great people on the board. These people have paid their price in life. They've been through all the trials and tribulations, and now they're saying, we can help you, and believe me, they will. You're watching the Sam Lesante Show. Don't forget, tune us in on the SSPTV.com. Over 175,000 hits on our website. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.